Come on, you got this, I say as I attempt my personal record on the bench press. I lift the weight from the rack and inhale as I lower the barbell to my chest. As I lift the weight, I feel every muscle in my chest tighten. I exhale as I slam the barbell back onto the rack. Good workout, I tell myself as I wipe the bench. Sweaty and sore, I leave and grab my bag from the gym locker room. On my way to the door, I received an Instagram notification. Someone sent me a private direct message. This is common, so I didn't check the message when I received it. Since I started working out, I've received more attention from women who knew me when I wasn't as fit as I am now. Back then, I weighed 150 pounds soaking wet. Now I weigh closer to 200 pounds and add 15 pounds of muscle mass. When I got the chance to check the message, I realized this particular DM was different. I didn't know the woman that sent it. We had never met, and we didn't share mutual friends. But the woman was beautiful. Her bronze skin glowed in all her Instagram photos, and her silky black hair flowed to her shoulders. She had a body that most women would pay for. I was attracted. Her message read, "Hi, I'm Stacy. I've been following your fitness journey and was inspired by your commitment to being fit. I would love to go out to dinner with you to get to know you and get some fitness tips. Would you be open to a meeting?" I occasionally post about my fitness journey on Instagram to inspire and motivate my few followers. So I was flattered when I received Stacy's DM, but I was also skeptical. People on the internet often misrepresent themselves. So at first I thought, this is someone trying to catfish me, but I'll play along. And when I asked her to meet up or video chat, she would ghost me and flake. So I responded, "Sure, I would enjoy connecting with you and sharing workout tips. What's your number so we can plan a meetup?" I wasn't expecting to hear from her again, but a few minutes later, Stacy sent her number. I called her later that night. To my surprise, she asked if we could video chat. I was a little stunned by her request. If Stacy was catfishing me, why ask to video chat? I told her we could talk on WhatsApp. On the video call, I was pleasantly surprised to learn that Stacy was real. She knew a lot about my area, describing places only locals knew. She even recommended an excellent restaurant near my house where we could meet. This seemed unusual, but I assumed she must have worked on my side of town or had an ex-boyfriend from my area. Before getting off the call, we agreed to meet up the following Saturday. I share a house with my roommate and best friend, Steven. Steven and I met in college and instantly clicked. He's the person I trust most and talk to about everything, including people I'm dating. But I couldn't tell Steven about Stacy before we met because he has been busy with his residency at the local hospital. Saturday arrives. I'm excited and a little nervous. It isn't often that an attractive random woman slides into your DM and asks you out. I arrived at the bar Stacy recommended. When I went inside, the hostess greeted me. She asked, "Are you here to see Stacy?" I nodded, and she took me to a booth at the back of the bar. Stacy is a regular here because most of the staff knew her. When I got to the booth, the hostess told me Stacy was in the restroom and would be with me soon. A few minutes later, Stacy comes from the restroom. We greet each other with a little hug and take our seats. For the first few seconds, we just sat at our booth in awkward silence. Then I asked, "How often do you come to this bar? All the staff seem to know you." Looking up from her menu, Stacy replied, "I used to come here often, but not as much anymore since the..." Before finishing her sentence, our waitress asked, "Are you ready to order?" "Yes," we replied. "I'll have salmon," I replied. Stacy ordered a Caesar salad. After we placed our orders, there were another few seconds of awkward silence. From our phone calls and texts, Stacy seemed more outgoing and talkative. But in person, she was very reserved. Trying to hold a conversation with her was like pulling teeth. The date wasn't going well. Stacy spent most of the time browsing Instagram on her phone. Then Stacy looked up from her phone and asked, "How did you get into fitness?" I actually began working out when I accidentally took a selfie without a shirt. I was embarrassed by my physique. When I looked at the picture, I had the face of a 24-year-old but the body of a 15-year-old boy. At that moment, I vowed to get in shape. My roommate, Steven, has been my accountability partner and holds me accountable to my workout schedule, I explained. Stacy laughed briefly. Then Stacy says, "So tell me about your roommate." "Well, Steven is my best friend. We went to Emory University together. I studied law while he pursued a medical degree. As I began to describe Steven, Stacy stopped me mid-sentence and said, "I know your friend. Steven is such a great guy. Has he completed his residency yet? Before I could respond, she went on and on about Steven, how attractive he is and how great of a catch he'll be for someone. Believe it or not, Stacy talked about my roommate for over an hour, and it got to the point that I began to feel uncomfortable. When our date began, Stacy was quiet and reserved, but now I can't get her to stop talking about Steven. I finished my meal and walked Stacy to her car. Stacy turned to me at her car and said, "I had a really great time with you tonight. Would you like me to come over?" Usually, I would have invited her over for a nightcap, but how she obsessed over my roommate turned me off. So I made up an excuse. I told Stacy I had an early workout session in the morning. We hugged, and just as I was turning to leave, Stacy said, "Call or text me once you get home." I said okay and left. When I got home, Steven was there. We greeted each other, and then I said, "Steven, I think I just went out with someone who knows you." "Oh, really?" Steven replied. "Yeah, she seems to know a lot about you. She knows you attended Emory and are doing your residency at Emory Hospital." Looking very seriously at me, Steven says, "Oh yeah, describe this woman." "Well, she's about 5'7", brown-skinned, beautiful woman." Before I could complete the description, Steven said, "Wait, did you go out with Stacy?" "Yeah, she said she knows you. She went on for hours talking about you," I replied. The next thing Steven said surprised me. Steven looked at me seriously and said, "Dude, did she follow you home?" "No," I said. "We went our separate ways after the date." Steven didn't say a word. He frantically ran through the house, closing all the blinds, then called the police. "Yo, Steven, what's going on?" I asked, but he didn't say a word. Moments later, the police arrived, and one of the officers told us that they had arrested Stacy in our backyard. Apparently, Stacy violated a restraining order Steven put out on her. After the cops leave, Steven tells me he met Stacy 2 years ago at a nightclub. They went out on one date, but Steven ended things after that date because she was moving too fast. Stacy ended up being extremely unstable. She would call Steven 50 times a day. When he blocked her, she started showing up where he worked. The last time Stacy showed up at his job, she threatened to hurt herself if he wouldn't give her a second chance. That was when he put a restraining order on her. Stacy had been stalking me on social media when she saw a picture I posted of Steven and me at a sporting event. She set up a date with me to get closer to Steven.